Today we are joined by AJ. He is a phenomenal human being. Not only is he a foodie, he started his bodybuilding journey 17 years ago, just getting into fitness. He has an immaculate story, but not only that though, he's coming onto a decade and a half of experience as a professional language teacher. AJ, thank you so much for being on part of the show. Love to have you here.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Absolutely. I know you kind of told me about being a linguistics teacher. You teach English, right?
English, yeah.
For 12 years.
12 years.
But we also have a very cool story. So I want to let you lead the way. Do you want to talk about the language teacher part first, or do you want to talk about your transformation from where you're at?
I think the language teacher first, because the transformation's a huge, long story.
All right, let's start with the language part. So
Yeah.
you said you've been doing it for 12
Yeah.
years?
Yeah.
You're coming on to 12 years, right?
I know. I just got to 12 years last month.
Just last month.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
That is a career, a long career. Tell me, how did you decide to get into that?
I studied. I didn't even study like English teaching before I became a teacher properly. I got a degree in marketing and languages, and then Ireland hit a recession. So
You're good.
yeah. So then Ireland hit a recession, and I was working in a part-time job, and I decided to keep that job, and I was kept on as a manager in a candy store, and then. A few of my friends did it. I was kind of wondering, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. So I kept the job just to keep me getting money while the recession happened. And then I was thinking, what do I really want to do?
This was 2008, right?
This was 2000. So I graduated in 2010.
Okay.
And then I made the decision to become a teacher in 2012 because I left the job in the candy store and decided, okay, some friends had become English teachers through doing something called CELT, Certificate in English Language Training. And I said, this is a great way to see the world, and I think I'd be good at it because I became friends with loads of international students in 2007, and I was helping them with their English, and I got a good feeling from that. I liked the feeling of it, and I said, I think I'd like it, and I think I'd be good at it. So I did a 4-week, very intensive, unbelievably, I think it was the most stress I've ever been under. And that 4 weeks combined was more stressful than the 4 years of college put together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was insane. It was the only time in my whole life that I stayed up all night long. I think I took a 1-hour nap at 2 a.m. one night because I had 3 assignments due in a day and in 2 days in the final week. But I absolutely loved it. And then I went, and interestingly, I did it in a city in Ireland called Galway, and then I moved back home to my hometown, to my parents' house, to decide, okay, where will I go next? And kind of on a whim, at the last minute, the night before this, I think a few days later, I got a job in a summer camp in my hometown. It was on a whim. It's kind of a long story, but I met the director on the Tuesday night, and then I was teaching the following morning, the Wednesday morning.
That's a fast turnaround.
So I got a teaching job within about I think it was in about 2 weeks of getting my certificate.
So you suffered for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Suffered for 4 weeks, and less than 2 weeks later, you got a job.
Got a teaching job. Yeah.
Was it because people were desperate? You were lucky. What was it?
It was both. I contacted it was in my place called Sligo IT. It was in this education centre, and there was a guy who ran a language school called Native Speaker, and he had people coming over from Italy and Spain, all that, to do a summer camp for English language learners. And somebody, I think that I was newly qualified, but I think they'd already filled up all the spaces, and somebody dropped out at the very last minute. So he
desperately needed someone.
He desperately needed somebody, and I was very lucky as well. See, so he contacted me and he had me in straight away. And most people just stay for a summer or whatever, and I stayed for I think 2 weeks. And he said my name was being thrown around by a lot of people
because they really loved
2 weeks. Well, that's what they said.
That's basically what it is. I know it.
Yeah. And then he said, if I have more work for you, do you want it? And I said yes. And then I had more work. And then he told me about something I'd never heard of, which is called IELTS. IELTS is the testing system for people who either want to get permanent residency in a country or if they want to get into university, so it's academic in general. And he was asking me, look, I've got people coming from different parts of the world for a year here. I'd like to keep you on and have you teach these people how to do the testing, how to take that test, and if I was interested to stay. And I thought, well, I'm doing this to travel the world. But then I said, no, this would be a good experience. So I did it. I decided to stay on, and I ended up staying on from 2012 until 2015. And then I'll tell you this as quickly as I can. I went to Vienna because I was going to this big like musical event called Eurovision Song Contest. It's like huge thing. I'm a massive fan. And in order for me to get back to Ireland, I had to fly back from Prague.
Okay.
So I went with my friends who were living in Norway. They were driving back up to Norway, so they dropped me off in Prague from Vienna. And I said, okay, I'll see what the fuss is all about. And I was there for literally 2.5 days. Within half of the first day, I fell in love with the city and said, I got to move here. And I remember when people telling me whenever they were leaving a city, how they were crying at the airport, they didn't want to leave, and I never understood. I was at the airport trying not to cry because I was so sad for leaving Prague. 4 weeks later, I moved there for 2 years, and I was teaching English there for 2 years. I dropped everything within 4 weeks. Fell in love within a day, was there for 2 days. Every day I woke up for 4 weeks going, I want to go back to Prague, I want to go back to Prague. I was gone within a month.
Okay. So, whoa. That was fast. Roll it back. So, were you in Canada first and foremost?
No, I was in Ireland. That's where I'm from.
So you were in Ireland originally.
Yeah.
And then, you got your education, 4 weeks, suffered, got the job, and then you decided to go on vacation, sort of. You flew, you're in Prague, fell in love with it, came back to Ireland, and then you're like, I gotta go back to Prague.
Within a month I was gone.
And then you're like, boom, gone. All right,
yeah.
caught up, understood.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm like, and it's even more extreme now than it was back then. But that's kind of how I live my life, because when something feels right, I'm a big believer of gut feeling, and it was just, I was there going, I've never gotten at that time I'd never gotten such a strong feeling about a place, and I was gone within a month. And I that first summer was one of the best summers of my life, because I was like, I've taken this big risk and I'm living life in this beautiful city, and it's really as beautiful as everyone says it is. So anybody who wants to travel, if you're going to go to Europe, go to Prague. It's very cheap as well, and it's the most magical city. It's like a fairy tale. Yeah, so I was there for 2 years.
You were there for 2 years, but at that time you had already learned to teach people English.
Oh yeah.
So you already had that, so you could just teach English in Prague.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and then I left in August 2017 because I kind of just had my fill, and I realized it's a great place for me at the time, it was a great place to visit, but I kind of knew I wouldn't be there forever. I kind of had that feeling. But after about 1.5 years, I started realizing lots of things that weren't. There were great things about being there as a tourist, but there weren't great things about living there. And one of them was the very low pay for teachers. And like the low pay it's crazy low.
How low is the low pay?
I think in terms of dollars, I was getting paid, I would say it was about not even $15 an hour for a teacher.
Canadian.
Yeah.
How many years ago was this?
This is 2015, 16, 17. Yeah.
Teacher, $15 an hour.
I think it was about that, or maybe even less.
Even less than 15? So let's just say 15 or less Canadian.
About that, yeah. And for a teacher, that's unbelievably low.
That's so low.
The cost of living there is very low, but not only that, teaching work there is very inconsistent. So not only are you getting paid low money, you're not getting much work either. So you could, if you're getting paid that low, at least if you had a full-time job, you could build it up or work. The amount of work that I had to do just to earn, even to try and make ends meet, was crazy. So that was one of the reasons I left. There were many, many reasons I left. The other one was because of the cold winters. And when I say cold,
minus
if you
40,
think,
minus 30.
we're talking the first winter was minus 15, the second one was minus 20. I had never experienced that kind of cold before, because in Ireland we just get rain, more than Vancouver. And it was unbearable. Like I can deal with heat, but I can't deal with cold. Minus 20 the second winter before wind chill. And that was, I think, where I'd made the decision, okay, I can't deal with this for another winter. So I was gone by the summertime. And I was missing Ireland. And I was like, I don't really want to stay here anymore. So I said, okay, I'll go back to Ireland and figure out what I wanted to do next. So I did, and I traveled a lot. I was actually in Ukraine for 2 weeks teaching English there in March the following year. But my brother and sister-in-law were living here at the time. And they said, there's a school that I teach for here in Vancouver, he said. And
your brother,
my brother,
told you that
told me
this
this,
school that he teaches in Vancouver.
Yeah, and he said that he thinks that Vancouver would be a great city for me, because he said it's the vibe of the city. People are very, very active here because I'm really into fitness and the gym. And he just said there's lots of things to do here, and the summers are beautiful here. So I looked into it, and the more I looked into it, the more I realized I think Vancouver would be a great city to go to. I know it'll be expensive, but if I can get a teaching position somewhere, I'll be fine. And with my brother being here, I said that would make it even easier. you know. So I looked into it, and it was very easy for Irish people to get a Canadian visa at that
I
time.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
Yeah.
when I was working like many years ago, there's like just a lot of people during the summer for Irish, or even winter for snowboarding.
Yeah, we actually got a 2-year visa, and lots of people use it just for the summer, you know, which is crazy. But I was fully serious about using it for the whole 2 years. So I looked into it, and then that summer, 2018, this is when it was. I was in Ukraine in March or April in 2018, and I got my confirmation of my visa. And then I went back to Ireland, and I actually went back to my old job in my hometown.
Oh.
The director took me back on, so
Okay,
I got
okay.
my job back straight away.
Oh, that's like
which is
very nice.
nice. And then, but I wanted to try something different for the summertime, so I worked as it was called a senior teacher, but it was more of an assistant to an academic manager in a summer camp in Brighton in England. So I went from being a teacher to like being the head teacher, like assistant as AM as we call it. And I was there for about 8 weeks, and as much as I loved it and the pay was very good, that made me, I wasn't actually teaching that summer. I was
More like supervising.
Yeah, more of like, you know, creating like classes, creating like content for the classes and all that, helping teachers, you know, observing classes to see if the teachers were okay.
So like an operation manager.
Yeah. I was doing like things like, I was also doing like other stuff like taking students to the airport and things. One thing I realized that summer though was that how much I actually loved teaching, because I was not teaching that summer.
Because you weren't doing the hands-on stuff.
Yeah, I
with
was
the
like going,
students.
I miss being in front of the class. So then I moved to Vancouver in September 2018. Yeah.
Okay.
And my brother picked me up from the airport. He was waiting for me here, and it was amazing. And it's funny what happened. I moved here on a Tuesday.
Okay.
I had already contacted the director of the school before that, because my brother told the director that I was moving, in his words, that I was an outstanding teacher, and she just said, here's my contact details, get him to contact me. So I emailed her, like, I think something about 2 or 3 weeks before I moved to Vancouver, and she arranged to have an interview with me on the Thursday after I arrived. So I arrived on the Tuesday.
So 2 days later.
Yeah, totally jet lagged, like beyond, like I'd never suffered from jet lag. It was the longest flight I'd ever had. I'd never left Europe before that. And I had the interview on the Thursday morning, and I got my position at the interview, which was amazing.
So on the spot, just hired you.
They hired me after they interviewed me, and usually they have people in observing classes on the first week to see how it works. And they called me. So they said, when do you want to start? I said, next Monday's good. So within a week, and I actually got my apartment in Vancouver at that time. I got a studio apartment the day after. So within arriving on a Tuesday, by the Friday, I'd gotten a job and an apartment really quickly, like that, which is cool.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's not that easy. That's not easy.
That's not easy, no. And with the help of
especially since you're out of town, out of town.
Yeah, but with the help of my sister-in-law as well, because she's really good at she was really good at helping me find places to like.
So she was
really
already
good
doing
for
the
that
work.
stuff. Yeah. Just to say, they've actually left Vancouver since they moved back last month. They now have since had 2 little boys, and they're now back in Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm now here alone.
For now.
But for now. But I'm very, very happy here. It's great. But then they called me the Monday morning, and they said, look, we're really sorry. We've had a lot of sick calls. Would you be able to teach a class this morning? And I was like, yeah, sure. I came in, and there was like 4 directors or something there waiting for me to help me. And I was like, look, just give me a class, put me in, I'll be fine. And they kept coming in, checking on me. I'm like, I'm fine. And within a week, within about 2 weeks, they'd given me 2 classes of my own. So I've been there since. That was 2018. I've been teaching IELTS.
So you're still there.
So I'm still there in that school since 2018, and the class that I had, like I have my own classes. I teach mainly IELTS preparation, and the reason why I love that so much is because of the success that I've had with it and the fun. I've met so many amazing people. I've made some great friends, including current and former students as well. So I've got like a guy in my class now who's a friend of mine, and I've also, when I went to Korea last year, I met like 4 people or 5 people who were all former students of mine. So that's the great thing about teaching, is the people you can meet and the friends you can make, students and teachers, former teachers. So so that's my teaching career in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounded like people said you'd be really good for this.
Yeah.
You're like, why the heck not? Went
Yeah.
for it. And through that, you went through a roller coaster of cities, locations, and you finally landed here.
Yeah.
So you said 2018 is when you landed here, right?
So I've been here almost 6 years.
So you've been here for 6
I have
years.
my PR. I got my PR 3 years ago. I applied for it during the pandemic, and it was
that was the best time to get it.
It was crazy, but it took it. It usually would take a few months. It took me a year and 2 months. I even had to take the IELTS test to do it. It was crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And that was a really weird experience, you know. And everyone was asking me like, "What score did you get?" I'm like, "What score do you think I got?" But now I'm going to apply for citizenship because I can get a dual passport because I can get Irish. I can have an EU Irish passport and a Canadian passport as well. Yeah, and I'd like to teach in Los Angeles sometime. I think having a Canadian passport might help. Might be a little bit easier, like for a summer camp. I don't know.
Okay,
if it will
maybe I don't know.
Maybe it will.
I can't speak for.
I don't know if it will be. I'm just guessing and maybe manifesting that it will be.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say that's my goal too.
Yeah,
Eventually,
yeah.
work in the States
Yeah.
too, but we'll see.
It would just be for a summer anyway, like LA. Like teaching in like LA is like one of the best cities I've ever been to. Like Santa Monica, I've been there like 7 times since I moved to Vancouver. Yeah.
Oh, you must say
I love it. Yeah, I
Oh,
love it.
you-
And I always do the same stuff. Like I never do typical tourist stuff except for in Los Angeles. I keep doing all the same stuff. Like I go up behind the Hollywood sign. Like I go to Santa Monica, Venice Beach, the Venice Canals, Hollywood, all the stuff that normal tourists
Again?
are.
So 7 times?
Every time. I do it every time.
Really?
Because they're all the stuff, all the good stuff about like LA. Because lots of people say that there's some stuff about LA that we don't like, but I love LA, and I love it for what it is. So I just go and do all the same stuff. I like the happy vibe energy there. It's nice. And I went to Gold's Gym as well last year, hoping to see Arnold, and I just missed him the second time I was there. So I said next time I'm going to get here at like 5 a.m. to make sure I see him here. Yeah.
Yes, this is a good segue into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Gold's Gym. I mean, obviously, you said you started your journey into fitness 17 years ago, so this was a while back, but you didn't look like this
No.
17 years ago.
No.
Please dive into
didn't.
that a little bit.
So most of my life before I made the change, I was always overweight or struggled with weight. When I was younger, I wasn't the most active. I've got a big family. I'm the youngest of 6. So I've got 3 brothers, and they're all really into sports. Most of my family are. Like into soccer and things, and they'd always love to play. But I never was, and just wasn't really into that. So because of that, then I wasn't really active. I wasn't part of it. I tried playing football. I tried everything. The only thing I really found that I liked a lot was swimming, but I was not a good swimmer. So I taught myself how to swim at 13 years old. I was like, you know what, screw this. And I kept letting go. We call it a float. Yeah, I kept letting go of the float, and I just kept trying to, and I just wouldn't stop until I could actually swim, and it worked. And that's how I learned. After years of lessons, I taught myself how to swim. It was crazy. But it came to the worst point when so I told you earlier I was studying in college, and there was one year where in 2006 where I wanted to move out of my hometown to a different city, but I didn't get accepted for that university that year because there weren't enough spaces. So I took a year out, and I said, okay, I'll find a job there and work there. But then I couldn't find a job there, so I decided to work in a call center in my hometown at the age of 19, and I thought, but this would be great for me because I've worked in so many like retail jobs. Like I was always in retail before I did a teacher, and I thought, okay, I'll be good at it. Everyone said you'd be good at this. This is great for you.
Sales.
It's more taking calls from people who were actually based in England or Britain actually, and you were dealing with people who it was got to do with like landlines and internet and all that and mobile phones and all this stuff. So we'd be customer service. We had 2 weeks of training, and we were really misinformed that the majority of the calls will just be easy, and you might get the odd call of someone being horrible to you. Well, that was completely the opposite.
Because like 80% was horrible.
So like
to you.
I'd say about 95% were horrible to me. And at that time I was very young. So I was very, very naive, very sensitive, took everything personally. Like when I was younger as well, I was very badly bullied in school as well. So that's
because of your weight.
Yeah, because of my weight, and also because of my personality. Actually,
Really?
Yeah. I went to like an all boys school, and like when I was in my teenage years, and every day in secondary school and primary school, which is what we call it back home, like for years, just bullied for being who I was, and but mostly because I was overweight as well, and I wasn't like huge or anything. I was just a little bit chunkier than the average guy, or average person in the school. And I would use food for comfort then because of that. And because I wasn't active, I was always the chunkier, as they always used to call me, the fat kid.
So you got bigger.
So I did, especially with this job. This job was...
It must have made you super depressed.
Oh my God.
And then the comfort eating came into play.
Like, I lasted literally 2.5 months there. So at the beginning, I thought I'd love it. But then I remember going into my bedroom one day at home, my parents' house, thinking, I don't feel good. Then I realized I don't like this job very much. So the majority of the customers calling us were horrible. Like, they'd be screaming at you, calling you names, everything. And because I was so sensitive, I took it very personally, and I would apologize to them. I'd say, oh, sir, I'm so sorry that this is happening. So then because of that would then make them just get shout and shout and shout more. I have to just say, I would love to go back and work there now for one day, because if I worked there now, I would have a field day with that. If they were screaming at me, I'd just be like, you don't get to talk to me like that, or and I just
stand up
hang
for yourself.
Or I'd just be like, if they were screaming at me and say, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, there's not much that can be done. And they go, well, why? I'm like, well, that's just the way, I'd have so much fun with that now, if I wish I could go back just for one day. But it got worse as it went on, and I had to take a week off from stress because I had a panic attack in the middle of my shift. And I mean a very major one, and the tears were streaming, everything. And I'll never forget this. It was December 27th, 2006. The night before I came in on the 26th, the day after Christmas, I don't know what I was thinking. 4 hours, got double pay, shouldn't have done it, wasn't worth it. But I got the final call I got that evening, like just before 8 p.m. There was a girl who was very annoyed, and it kind of like triggered it more. The following morning on my way in, I remember my mother I remember saying to her, I'm not going to last in this job. And I knew when I remember looking at her when I was leaving, she kind of knew I wouldn't last the day. And when I went in, there was someone sitting at my booth where I normally sit. And that was then where it was just like, okay, even that alone tipped it over. I was like, someone's sitting in my seat. I have to go sit somewhere else where all my stuff was. And I remember I was sitting there. I was meant to clock in for my 10 a.m. shift. And I just started saying, like, why am I wasting my life in this dead-end job? All it does is give me a paycheck. My health is terrible. My mental health is awful. My physical health is awful. Look at me, I'm horrible. And I started like swearing a lot and complaining a lot to the guy sitting beside me. And he didn't know what to do. He was like...
The guy who took your seat?
The guy who's sitting with another colleague of mine.
Oh, okay.
And he was just like, this is all relevant to my weight loss journey. He was like, yeah, it's really terrible, I know. And I said, I'm not staying, I'm going. And he said, no, talk to somebody. I said, no. I said, I'm going because if I talk to anybody and they're going to stop me. Then he got a call, so he had to start taking the call. And I said, just do it. So I got up and I put my jacket on. And I remember in my head, I was thinking, am I making the right decision? And I said, yes, do it, just go. So I waved at him and I just walked out of the job at 19 years old, 27th of December at 10 a.m. I remember the exact time it happened.
You clocked in and clocked out.
I didn't clock in and clock out. I didn't even clock in. I just left. And on my way out, I put my hood up and I put my head down and I could see a group of people coming in from smoking. And I said, if any of them see me, they're going to stop me. So I kept my head down. I walked past the receptionist and I remember walking out, and the relief when they say the weight of the world comes out, I've never felt it as much as it came off when I walked out. And I just kept walking and walking and walking, and I just didn't look back. And the more I walked, the better I felt. And I was like, okay, now I can finally just relax, and I'm never going back to that again. However, right before Christmas, that was after Christmas, I got blood test taken by my doctor, and I ran into her on like the 3rd of January or so, 2007, in the street, and she told me that my cholesterol was something like 8, almost 8, when it's supposed to be 5 or lower.
So
now
really high.
That's like it's like a walking heart attack. If I'd continued the way I did at the time, I would be probably now like diabetic, major heart problems, and like there's already heart issues in like I've hereditary. There's some heart issues, So that's something I don't know if I should go in. So like
that's fine.
Yeah. I just realized. So I was like, okay. I remember when the membership was like, this is the highest I've seen in a long time, and I remember walking home that day, and I remember it vividly. I was so scared. I remember walking home, just like walking down the street going, oh my God, I'm so unhealthy, I have to make a change. And it just changed like that, completely. So I just stopped eating all unhealthy food, made a huge change. My brother at the time told me, why don't you go try light walking on the streets and see, and if you want to walk, if you want to jog. I was very, very, very large. I was wearing like extra large clothes, almost fitting into extra, extra large. I was going in that direction. And you know, people say that unless you're that size, you actually, I don't know if anyone understand this, but when you're that size, sometimes you don't realize how big you actually are until you like lose weight. Then you look back at photos and you go, damn, I was huge. And it kind of just crept on, but I was using a food at the time during the job for comfort. A lot of chocolate and no exercise and sitting at a desk all day. So no wonder my cholesterol was that high due to stress as well. So I wasn't working, and I had about 9 months off for that year because I wasn't going to go back to college until like September.
Mm-hmm.
So I focused on my health, and I made changes in my eating. I stopped eating unhealthy food. I was having mostly the same food every day, and I was living at home, so I would cook my own food usually, and sometimes I'd have the food that my mother would cook as well. But I would every day, 5 days a week, the streets of my hometown. So I go out, I'd jog a little stretch of road, and I'd walk and jog and walk, and I did that for like 5 days a week. And it would take me, I think, like an hour and a half at the beginning, but it didn't matter. And I did it for 10 kilometers, which is quite long.
Every day?
Every day, 5 days a week. Yeah.
That's the sun run.
I would, yeah, it is. I would put on a hoodie and tracksuit pants and my runners. But as time went on, I was getting faster and I was jogging a little bit more. And obviously I was getting like lighter. I started noticing a little bit of weight loss, and I decided to then join because some people I knew were doing something back then called Weight Watchers. It's that was, I don't know, that doesn't exist in Ireland anymore, and I think now it's called WW. But I decided to join, and I went to weekly meetings, and where they'd weigh you, and I had a leader called Anne at the time, and the meetings were amazing and the program was amazing particularly because
was
of
it free?
No, it was you had to pay. You had to join as a member, then you had to pay every week.
Okay.
And my leader was amazing because she didn't give sympathy. So that's what I needed definitely at the time, because if you had a bad week, she wouldn't be like, oh, I'm so sorry. She'd be like, okay, what caused it and what are you going to do to change it? You know, which is how I feel now these days. And so I would track my food every week, and I would start and every week I'd lose weight. There might be a week or two where you'd have a blip or whatever. But as time went on, because I come from a small town, people in the town noticed me running on the streets like all the time, especially people who lived, because I would walk on it's a small, like a big town for Ireland, but a small town in general. So there's a lot of people, like I would run like lots of residential areas, and I'd have people in the street stopping me saying, you're that guy who goes out running. We've seen you run for a long time. You've lost so much weight and you're looking great. Like a taxi driver one day rolled down his window at the taxi rank and told me he saw me a lot. And so I was getting a lot of people saying that to me. And then I lost a lot of weight. But I'd say jumping ahead a few years, I decided to get into the gym. And I would just kind of go casually here and there, nothing huge or nothing major.
What year was that when you decided to jump into the gym?
I think I first went to the gym properly, I think it was around 2009 or 10. Mm-hmm. But I was never consistent with it. I liked it, but I would go, then I joined, then I would go maybe for a few weeks, then stop, you know, kind of thing, which a lot of people have issues with. Yeah, that's what they tend to do.
Stop.
But that's definitely not a good thing at all. You really, really should keep it consistent. Because I remember at the time I had the discipline for going for my runs, but I didn't have the discipline for the gym, because I think I would prioritize the runs. But I then did get it. I don't know what happened. I think I was following a lot of bodybuilders on social media, and the more I looked at them working out and how they looked, the more it started to appeal. And I went to this bodybuilding exhibition in 2013 called Body Power in England. Mm-hmm. So that's where a lot of famous bodybuilders were there. And I met a guy at the time, his name is Ryan Terry. He's a huge bodybuilder now, really well known. Mm-hmm. But I had been following him online for like 3 years. And then when I met him at
This was like the Coleman era, right?
What'd you say?
Coleman.
Yes, I think so. 2013. So
it was right around there.
I'd say just after that, I guess. Yeah, I did meet him, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. I have a photo with him. In 2013, and when I remember when I went to the exhibition, Ryan Terry, because I was a huge fan of his, he knew who I was and gave him a hug, and it was crazy. And that's then where I started going to the gym a little bit more seriously. I went to a few more exhibitions year on. In 2015, I went to Germany. And 14, I went to Germany. I met Ronnie Coleman, I met Jay Cutler, I met all the big, huge names.
Mr. Leg Stomp.
Yeah. But yeah, for years it was just like, lose weight, look good, and then I'd put weight back on, and it was just years of like just yo-yoing of my weight going up and down, like putting weight on, losing weight, putting weight, and you wouldn't believe how many times it happened. Like it was constant. And
when you say put weight, put fat or put muscle?
Fat, yeah. Like I mean, yeah, because it was just I would allow my eating habits to get out of control. I mean, you know, if your eating habits get out of control, you have to be the one to get them back into control. So I would just allow them to get out of control, and then I just allow that to just keep going, and then I'd look at myself in the mirror and just go, damn, and I was looking really good before this, and it happened so often. And then at one point, I remember walking home from the gym one day in like 2018 going, you know what, I'm so fed up of this happening. I'm just going to quit. I'm going to give up. I'm going to stop losing weight. I'm going to stop going to the gym, blah, blah, blah. But then I realized, well, I'm not really, am I? You know? So anyway, that's what happened for many, many years. It just, there was the
Back and forth.
Back and forth. And then I got a taste for competing when I watched some competitions at the expos.
In Ireland?
In England and in Germany. I'd see people competing and the body, you know.
So you were just showing up as a spectator?
I was just a spectator, yeah. I was friends with a guy years ago who took part in a competition in 2014, and it was so cool watching people, you know, showing off how their hard work on stage. And I said, I'd love to do that one day, and finally my one day happened like recently. So in 2022, I decided there was a guy I was following on Instagram.
I saw your coach.
Before I actually mentioned that, I had other coaches before, and they were good, but like there's always something that you have to kind of resonate with them to keep them on for a longer time. And I found that I don't know what it was. I think maybe one of them was being too soft on me, or maybe I just didn't feel like I was getting the support that I needed. I think that's what it mostly was, and I think I didn't feel like I could open up to them as much as I wanted to. So in 2022, I remember I was following a guy on Instagram. I don't know how it happened. I think maybe I was following his partner first, and I remember she posted about me because she went to a cafe because I post about food all the time. Yeah. And then we were kind of messaging back and forth, and with him as well, and I decided to finally meet them in person. We went to Jam Cafe here, which is my favorite place in Vancouver, one of my favorites.
Oh, so expensive, but I agree.
It's the food. I mean, I don't even look at that. I'm just like, I know, I've been going for years. And we went for brunch together, the three of us, and I was talking to him about like, but at this point I said, instead of just hiring a coach, I want to meet the guy first and talk to him about, can he give me what I needed? And one thing he told me, which really resonated with me, is that he's an emotional eater. And I said, oh my God, this is the guy for me that I need for my coach, because I don't emotionally eat anymore, but I definitely need someone to understand my triggers, you know, if that were to happen again. And to understand my relationship with food. And he, you know, told me a lot about like his relationship with food and him competing. Like he did a competition, and he told me a lot about how he speaks with his clients, how he is with his clients, like, and how he gets to know people on a level that's not just for your bodybuilding or fitness or gym journey. He gets to know you more personally, which he did. So I decided, okay, it's time for me to make my dream of competing come true, because I had this big dream of stepping on stage and all that, and I wanted to a few years ago. I have my best friend who lives in Korea, who is a bodybuilder who's taken part in competitions and won in Vancouver. He lives in there now.
Won in Vancouver?
Yeah, he won a competition in 2021 in Vancouver. Yeah.
I think I know who we're talking about.
No.
Here in Vancouver?
No, yeah, he lives in Korea now, but he won in his category in 2021 in, I can't even remember the name of the competition. Oh yeah, Leigh Brandt competition in 2021, the end of 2021, in November 2021. He won the men's physique category that year, but he lives in Korea now. Like, so he's still a bodybuilder, but he doesn't compete. Well, not for now anyway. He's very busy with his work. But I wanted to compete in 2021, but after losing so much weight, I have a lot of like excess skin. Now, that's the good thing about bodybuilding, is it'll help remove it, but I am going to get some treatment for it, because there is some of it. But at that time, I was like, I don't want to step on stage with excess skin, so I decided not to do it. However, I got over it. And in 2023, I decided, okay, it's time to make my dream of stepping on stage come true. And I met up with my coach. His name is Al John. Actually, this is actually his T-shirt. It's his brand. It's Omodos. Yeah, my name is actually on the back. Yeah, so we went up for a coffee, and he asked me what I was looking to achieve or what to do, and I told him I want to compete, and I don't know where to start or whatever, but we met up, and he told me that he's competed and that he's prepped people before for competitions, and he wanted to just know what my diet was like and what my schedule was like and all that, and how often I could go to the gym and all that. So we decided to start a prep. I was going to take part in a competition October last year.
Me too.
Right, okay.
Me too.
Yeah, and I unfortunately had to pull out like a week and a half before because I found out by accident, after months of prepping my posing routine, that only the top 5 would get to do their posing routine. And I knew I wasn't going to get top 5. I didn't even care if I came last. I just wanted to get on stage. And when I found out that, I said, I'm not going on stage if I can't do my routine. That's the most important part of the competition is my routine. Mm-hmm. So I told my coach I'm not taking part, and he understood. I said, okay, instead let's do WNBF Natural, which is a natural show, in May next year, which was this year. Mm-hmm. So we prepped up until then. So I'd already prepped like 8 months already. I went traveling to Korea for 3 weeks, two weeks last year, and came back, and then continued my prep. And we did a bit of an off season, but then we did a cut, and it's crazy. I loved the cut so much. Like,
most people hate the cut.
I love it so much because of how you don't realize how much you can actually do when you're on a cut. Like, I can never, ever, ever for the rest of my life use an excuse of being tired to miss the gym or to miss a workout. I understand the difference now of your body needing rest. Because I like, for example, like, I think, okay, let's go do some cardio. And if I'm fighting with myself on the way to the gym going, you need to take some rest today, because you shouldn't do this today, not today. And if I'm fighting with myself on the way to the gym, it means, okay, now I do need to take a rest. But if it's just like, I'm feeling tired, what'll I do? I'll just go, no, just go. That's different. But on those days, I'll definitely go home. But generally, like, the number of hours I did of cardio for my prep was crazy. Like, I'd wake up at 4:45 or 5 a.m., do an hour of Stairmaster, then I'd go teaching. I was teaching 1 class a day, and then I'd come back. Then I'd go home, have some food. I'd go to the gym and do my workout, and then I'd do another hour of cardio of Stairmaster. And then in my final week, the peak week, sometimes I was at the gym for 3 times a day. But it was the best ever. Like, people say, is it not really difficult? I said, no, actually it isn't. The only hard part is the mental aspect of you're so emotional, and you're always thinking about food, and you're always thinking, can I look better? Will I be okay? But all this, it's actually, I didn't think the actual prep was difficult. I just found it a lot of work. So it actually was fine. I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed looking in the mirror every day going, I'm looking leaner. And then I had my peak week, and it was so amazing because, like, I had to dehydrate for the final 2 days. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy what, like, water, like, I remember I drank 6 liters at the beginning, and then towards the end I was drinking, like, the day before the competition I drank half a liter. That was so difficult, like, having to just do this
and ration
and
it.
that's it for the whole day. It's difficult because I drink like minimum 4 liters a day. In hot summer days, maybe 5 liters. So drinking half a liter for 1 day is crazy. But
I would kill it with the water. I barely drink any.
All right, okay, yeah. I'm the opposite. I drink so much. But like the peak week was great. I really, really liked how I was on such a high. I was like going, oh my God, I'm actually getting on stage on Saturday. But the whole prep in general, like I ate the same food most times. Either I'd eat rice or I'd eat sweet potato with some barbecue sauce, whatever. And I still eat all the same food now. Like, so I'm on an off season now, but like, because it's the food that keeps me healthy, mm-hmm. and I still love all the food that I eat, I said, why not just continue eating what I was eating before? And people ask me, like, are you not bored of all the same food? I'm like, no. And you don't, in my case, you don't eat for taste, you eat for function. Like, I do switch it up sometimes, but I focus on the function. And but getting on stage was the best feeling ever. Like, seriously, I'm addicted now. I can't wait to do my next competition.
When's your next one?
I'll be doing some competitions next year. Yeah, so more than one. Yeah, so, but I took part in 3 categories. I did debut men's bodybuilding, men's lightweight bodybuilding, because I'm a lightweight right now. My goal is to become, like, non-lightweight eventually.
Go up or down?
Yeah, up, yeah. Because lightweight is the lightest
one.
What it is?
Yeah. Okay.
And then I also took part in a category called the New You, which is best body transformation. And I said, if I'm going to win anything, it's going to be the New You. And I came 3rd in men's open, like, lightweight bodybuilding, which is pretty cool. There were just 3 of us, meaning all 3 of us would get a medal, which is great. Mm-hmm. So I have my bronze medal. And then what was really interesting was that like I remember being very, very happy with the fact that I was okay with the fact that I had some extra skin. So a few years ago, I was like, oh my God, I'm so conscious of this. But I went on and I proudly showed off all of my hard work, and I loved the posing. I did my posing routine. My song was Murder on the Dance Floor by Sophie Alex Bextor, which I had so much fun preparing for that and doing the routine. And then there was the New You category. So the whole story I just told you about me going from like obese to I like to call it obese to beast, was shown. My picture, my before and after was shown, and the MC read out my story, and it was a very long story. And then there were I think there were four of us taking part, and I was the winner. And when she read out my number, like it was probably the best moment of my life was the moment she read out my number saying that I was the winner, and I got this very like nice like little glass award, and it was nice to be able to be told to win something called the New You, the Best Body Transformation, was just such an amazing moment. Probably the best moment of my life was that. And stepping on stage is just, it's all that work, all the prep, all of the hours of cardio, the sacrifices, or whatever. When you go out for social events, I would go and drink water or Pepsi Zero. I would never eat food at restaurants and stuff. Like I do all my foodie stuff, all the Instagram stuff. Like I just stopped doing all of that because I said bodybuilding is way more important now. So I still do some stuff now, but that direction is like I'm going in the direction now of bodybuilding instead. But it was all worth it, all of it, so much. Yeah. So that's mostly my story for then until now. Yeah.
Okay, so now moving forward, you have a couple of competitions that you have lined up.
Yeah.
And you're still teaching.
Yes.
Do you plan to pivot fully into bodybuilding, like start your own brand, coach, life coach, all that fun stuff?
Coaching I wouldn't do. I wouldn't become a personal trainer or anything like that. Life coaching, I've had a lot of people saying to me that I could do that, but there's only one thing about that is there's two variants of life coaching. There's the actual life coaching, and there's the toxic side. And I don't know. Like I kind of just like being myself, doing what I do to encourage people is kind of enough for me, I guess. I would definitely love to continue teaching because I love it so much, and I get to meet some amazing people. Like, people go on people are performing on their own stage. Like I feel the front of the classroom is my stage because I use a lot of humor in my class as well. And I love my students. Like it's just always so much fun. Maybe in the future, maybe I'll do it temporarily, and maybe I'll pivot a little bit. But I definitely won't give teaching up forever. If I did end up doing that, but I can definitely see myself working in the bodybuilding industry eventually. I don't know doing what. Maybe I don't know. Let's see. But I can definitely see myself doing like teaching and bodybuilding together, and doing my having the best of both worlds, getting to do the two things I love, like two of the things I love most. Yeah. And the thing about teaching is you can teach everywhere in the world, like everywhere. But I'd love to have the best of both worlds of like teaching and the bodybuilding side. I don't know what yet because I'm still kind of relatively new in that kind of area, but let's see. Yeah.
There's plenty of ways you could take it.
Yeah.
Because you could literally be teaching bodybuilders or not bodybuilders or people who are trying to lose weight, because you've gone through the journey
in
yourself,
terms of
right?
I definitely think I could definitely go in the direction of helping people like get into like changing their life one way or another, like in terms of whether it be losing weight or putting on weight, or like, if they're not happy with how they look, or even their relationship with food. That's the most important thing, is the relationship with food, really, because you can do everything you need to, but if you don't like take care of what's going on up here, then then you're not really going to be, it's not really going to be fully successful for you if you can't take care of what's going on. If you've got like an emotional connection to food in terms of comfort that's there all the time, was always there for me before, you need to take care of that, or else it's always going to come back and haunt you. I understand my triggers now, so that I don't have a poor relationship with food now. I've only got a good relationship with food. That's honestly, that's where it all comes down to, really. And there are a lot of people who think that the whole thing of I can't do it, or you have to prioritize yourself, I think, in terms of all the stuff that's good for you. I think I could help a lot of people change their mindset and focus on being positive and thinking they can do it, because that's what I do pretty much, and as a teacher, like my students aren't allowed to use certain words in my class. If they say this is going to be difficult or I can't do this or whatever, those kind of words are not allowed in my class. So I'm able to use that aspect as well for helping people if they want to get into shape or if they want to change in any way, you know, or make themselves better. Yeah.
I think you have like a very powerful story, and you can definitely have the best of both worlds. Like, take a look at me, for example. I do everything, and I just see it as you throw all the balls and juggle as what you can, and whatever falls, and it's okay with doing that. And you have like so much potential, and your story is so impactful. I have the opposite problem. When I was going through my bulk, I wasn't eating enough.
Okay.
And my coach basically told me to eat more.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't eat more, so he was like, just eat whatever. Then I ate whatever, and then I went,
oh, damn. Okay, so you did a dirty bulk.
I did a dirty bulk. Yeah. But then I was like, oh, no. Now I'm like, my pants no longer fit me. I was like, oh, this feels bad.
Yeah.
So my plan was to originally compete, step on stage, but then I bulked the wrong way.
Oh.
So now I'm like, all right, let's do a bit of cardio. So stepping on stage is definitely a long-term goal eventually down the road for me. But I'm just gonna like take it bit by bit, eat healthy. But I was like, let's just say for someone who wants to get into bodybuilding in general, maybe either overweight or wanted to get started, what is the advice you would give for a beginner who just wants to get their health in check?
I think definitely start small. Don't try and do everything at once at the beginning, especially. A lot of people just throw them, you know, like the whole thing of, the whole New Year, New Me thing at the beginning.
Oh yeah, the New Year's resolution and punch people sign up at the gym and it's
like
packed for the first month.
The whole New Year, New Me thing is like, okay, if you have that attitude, you need to make sure that you have a realistic attitude of it. Like I'm very great for like being optimistic and all that, but take as many opportunities as you can, whatever. But if certain things you have to be realistic with, and one of them is making sure that if you're going to start a journey to losing weight, or even people who are, let's say, they're really skinny and they want to become bodybuilders, they want to put on weight, you know, or people who just want to change their relationship with food, you have to take it just one day at a time and make small changes. Doing everything at the beginning all at once, that's why they say 90% of diets fail, or whatever, or that kind of stuff, you are mostly going to fail because you're trying to do everything at once. And another thing is, focus on the progress, not on perfection, and don't focus on results. You can focus on results, but focus on the progress first. Because if you and another thing is being consistent. That's so important, because people who want overnight results, and especially if they think, I've been doing this for a week and I don't see any results, I'm just like, you know, when they say Rome wasn't built in a day, it goes for your body as well. Like, it's all about consistent. They all say small habits over a longer time is what really builds like the empire, which is your body. So I'd say the best advice is be realistic, small changes. Even if it means like people who, let's say they don't eat a very healthy breakfast, make your breakfast healthier. Or people want to, maybe some people, they like doing intermittent fasting. Maybe if that works for you, try that. But I would also say, count your macronutrients is the best thing, especially if you're going to get into bodybuilding. Macros are key, definitely, you know. And then you can have fun with your diet. You don't have to be unbelievably clean. You can actually have room for things, maybe the treat here and there, you know. Like, I know some people who are in the body industry, and like there are some people who eat like cookies or whatever. They might eat a few cookies every day, but if it fits their macros, or in a week, if it fits, why not, you know. But I would definitely say start small and focus on the small, consistent changes you can make, because trying to do everything at once is just asking for failure, I think.
Yes, I think so too, because I definitely had a lot of help because I actually paid for a coach, right?
Right.
So I got personal training, so he was able to relatively keep me in check. But the biggest hurdle for me was just eating enough. Oh my days.
Eating enough?
Yeah, I couldn't eat my calories enough. That was the hardest part. I started with chicken breasts, that's what I did. So it was chicken breast, rice, and I just packed it on. It was still not enough.
Yeah.
It was not enough food. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm already full.
You're talking about your bulk, right?
Yeah, this is my bulk. This is my bulk. This is me trying to bulk up. I wasn't eating enough.
Yeah.
And it was just so tough eating. So I had the opposite problem of you.
Yeah.
But
you know what? Actually, no, I've begun my off season. So like I told my coach, like, okay, these are my words. I want you to inflate me for next year. I want to be the guy that currently, the last months I've been known as the really lean guy. Now I want to be known as the big guy, you know. So already, I've been eating more food, my arms have gotten bigger than they were, even before I began my cut. But one thing about, this is the other advice for people who need to go on an off season or a bulk, is that eating is also a type of training. You have to train yourself to eat more food. It's just that like because you might be full, but I've seen like memes and stuff of people like, you know, I mean, like not hungry, still haven't got all my macros filled, and they're like crying into their rice cake or something. And it's just, it's the exact same for people who cut like me. When I was doing my prep, oh my God, my Instagram, I would just spend hours looking on my feed at like, I'm gonna bake that, I'm gonna bake that, like, and on my phone, like if I go back to all the stuff I'd saved from that time, it's just a long thing of all this stuff that baked goods, like cookies and all that. So like it's the exact same thing, except it's the opposite, and you just have to, instead of training your mind to stay away from the stuff, the unhealthy stuff, you have to train yourself to just, you just have to force it. It's just, you know, it unfortunately is like the way it is, like, and there are easy ways around it though. Like if you like, I personally find sweet potato, which is it's filling for me, which is good for when I'm on a cut or whatever. I'm on my off season, I'm still eating sweet potato, but I will find when I'm on a much higher calorie dense area of my off season, I think rice would be easier to eat because it's got much less fiber than sweet potato, I think, so it won't fill you up as fast as sweet potato will. So that's one thing I would think, you know. Yeah, I think in terms of getting your carbs in, because when you're doing an off season, you've got a lot of carbs to eat, you know. So it's just, it's a type of training.
It is
a type of
definitely a
training.
type of
Eating
training.
is a type of training. Like either you have to cut or bulk. You've got to train your mind to not eat something or to definitely eat something.
Oh man, I remember having a keep track.
Because if you meal prep, it's there, and you're just like, I mean, I'd be the same. I know when I go to my really calorie dense, or like, let's say the highest part of my bulk, I'm going to be suffering from the same. I'll just be like, no, gotta do it. But that's why the clean bulking will be better, because if you do dirty bulking, I think you'll feel worse with dirty bulking if you'll feel good with clean bulking, and you'll see better progress in the mirror. I think if you focus on the progress you want to make, and eventually after about 4 weeks, I always find that 4 weeks is the key point of progress, you know. So yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it sounds like for you, you're going on a not a dirty bulk, but you're bulking.
I prefer to call it off season. Yeah. But yeah, I'm currently on my off season because my competition's next year, so we're already prep, and I've already started seeing a difference, like in terms of the weight that I'm able to lift and this, like the size of me. Like I mean, people have been commenting on the fact that I'm looking bigger already, and I'm like, I was only like really lean like a couple of months ago. I'm already looking bigger, which is great. Yeah. So, and I've started taking creatine as well, so I think that's helping.
You didn't take creatine before?
No, I didn't. I just didn't have any, and I never thought to take any. And part of my winning pack or winners pack for the new you was a creatine tub, so I've started taking it since, or for the last like month or 2 months, and it's definitely making a difference. So I'm going to continue taking it.
What supplements do you use? Obviously, there's creatine protein.
Yeah.
I'm assuming creatine protein.
Yeah, they're the two, like the key ones for any kind of bodybuilder or whatever. If you're going to stay natural, which I always definitely will, is creatine and protein powder. I take some fat burners. I take CLA and I take L-carnitine. I take L-arginine, but I was taking that like for the like last 3 weeks before my show. It's more of a pump, like the vascularity and all that. So, I think anyway. L-glutamine, it's good for recovery. I also take supplements that are not necessarily related to bodybuilding. I take biotin because clearly I dye my hair. I just dyed it like a few days ago, and biotin is so good for hair and nail strength. I take zinc as well. I forgot why. I think it's because I have a really good immune system from going to the gym. I think it helps with metabolism or digestion. I forgot the reason, but
You take zinc?
I don't know why I'm taking it, and actually, you know what? Also, I have a juicing machine at home for vegetables and fruits, and I haven't made any juices in a long time because of the cut, and I'm going to get back to that. And I found that my skin and my hair was the strongest when I would make a juice every single day, and I put a lot of stuff in. So I think, you know, like, and I swear by it, like I'd put in things like cucumber, spinach, tomato, beetroot, apple, ginger. It's like, and it takes out all the pulp and you're left with just the juice, and it's the good part. It's not like the really high sugar part. It's like, you know, if you have fruit juice is really, really high sugar, but vegetable juice is a different ball game completely. So what you're doing is, even though you're not getting the fiber, I get fiber from so much other food, it's removing all the stuff that your body has to do to break down, and it's just absorbing all the nutrients. And I remember the last time I did that, one per day, or maybe almost every day, Like the difference in my energy, how well I felt, and my skin and my hair. For someone who bleaches their hair so often, like the difference it makes to your hair strength and your skin shines. You're giving your body all the stuff that it needs.
Skincare or no skincare?
I do skincare.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I do. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of obvious I do as well, but they're all Korean products. I got them in Korea last year. Yeah,
Oh, they're
and
great.
I actually last year I got some microneedling done. Which I think is really important for people to get done. You know, it's like it's not like any kind of it's not what do you call it, plastic surgery. It's like they just put this machine all over your face and it naturally makes
Yeah.
the collagen go in. And I found I only got it done once, but I'm going to start getting it again. It's really I think it's important to take care of your skin regardless of what and you know, but I think doing it like that, like getting like microneedling is, I think everyone should get that done because it's so, as you get older, the collagen starts going away and it just replenishes the collagen is all, you know, it's really good for you.
Ooh, have
Yeah.
you ever thought about the harsher stuff? Chemical peel?
I don't even know what that is. Like, I mean,
Then ignore.
yeah,
Pretend you never heard it.
I've seen videos of it like that, but is it just,
No, the chemical peel is something else. The chemical peel is literally, you gotta get done professionally.
Right.
At someone specialized because what they do is, harsh chemicals, they blast your face.
Oh,
What
I've seen that.
And what happens is the front layer of your skin is just peels right off.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, yeah.
And then they look like bare skin, baby
Yeah,
skin,
yeah.
like a Persian cow,
Yeah.
like a naked Siamese
Yeah.
cat. And they gotta like maintain it, routine, protect
Yeah.
from sun for like a period of
Yeah.
time. But it's like a hard refresh.
Does
on
it
your skin.
burn?
No clue.
No, okay.
Never done it. But
'Cause
I got a few friends that recommended
Yeah,
me a few
when I
places
did
to do it.
microneedling, my face, I looked sunburnt, and then I had to stay out of the sun for like a day or so, but it was fine, and I did notice a difference even after one treatment, so it's really important. But I think taking care of your skin is very important. Like I do every single morning, I have my skincare routine, and I've got very sensitive skin. I burn easily as well, but thankfully didn't burn that much at the beach yesterday. I got a nice tan, which is good. Yeah, but yeah, so like in terms of what I'm going to do next, I've got my shows next year, and I think I'm doing my off season now, and I'm excited to see what I'm going to look like next year. But let's see how my skin looks in terms of the excess skin. I've got some on my arms and especially down at my lower waist. It kind of hangs a little bit. I'm not going to get surgery to have it removed. I don't want to for many reasons. One is obviously it costs a lot of money, but second of all, one is the fact that the recovery takes weeks and you're barely able to walk. Like I think you have to
Barely able to walk?
Barely, because especially if you get it done down here, you can't really, like, you can barely get up or anything, you know.
Because they've tightened the skin area.
No, they cut it all off.
Okay.
And then they close it up so the skin is tightened. So you have to make sure that it doesn't tear open or whatever. Like, or, you know, because it's...
Do they fold it or they take it off?
No, they cut it off. They cut off the extra skin. So you're left with lots of scarring and all that, you know. I don't want to go down that route. I think as a very, very last resort, maybe. But bodybuilding, because I'm going to become, like, my goal is to become really huge naturally, as naturally big as I can. And the skin will just take care of itself. But at the same time, there are many places in Vancouver where I can get skin tightening. So most places do it for, like, the face or for the here. I want to go and see if they can take care of it for the waist and for my arms, and it's actually like on my legs as well, because I was very, very big. I lost a lot of weight. In terms of pounds, I lost 87 pounds when I was at my lightest. I lost like 38 kilos. That's a lot of weight to lose, you know. So, and yeah, so that's what I'm going to do in terms of my skin as well. But let's see. Yeah,
I think keeping it for as long as possible should be okay, because it's really is part of your story.
It is,
right?
yeah.
And just trying to like...
But I'm thinking about, though, but how I'm going to look on stage. I mean, but the thing is, there was a guy competing in my show, and he lost more weight than I lost, and he was bodybuilding for quite a few years, and he came over to me and he said, "You look incredible, don't worry about the skin." He said, "I was the same." He said, "Look," he had very, very clear abs, and they looked amazing, and he actually won his category. But he even showed me, he pulled at his skin and he said, "Look, even mine stretches, but you can see my abs perfectly." So I think, going by what he showed me, I don't think, because it's my biggest issue is the fact that it's here on my, not exactly issue, it's just that if I'm going to get anything done, it's definitely going to be like the skin here on the side of my chest, because, you know, because I want to make sure my chest forms in the way I want it to. Yeah, let's see. Maybe just bodybuilding might just take care of all of that itself naturally. Let's see. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so, because speaking of bodybuilding, I know you're not really recent, but you've done it for like a little while.
Yeah.
You've gone into it.
Yeah, I'm new lightweight bodybuilder. Yeah, that's what I am.
Have you ever thought about taking on a student, or just like, not even taking on a student, but like just teaching people for free? You like teaching.
Yeah, I actually have. It's more of making the time to do it because right now I teach 2 classes a day.
How much time does teaching a class take?
And my classes are, my first class and second class, both are 4 hours and 25 minutes. So I start at 8:15 and I finish at 5:45 Monday to Friday.
Oh, so each class is like 4.5 hours roughly.
Yeah, so roughly four and a quarter hours. Yeah, including breaks. Yeah, so.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so I've got long days at the moment. Now, like that's now, but let's see what happens in the future. Like when I prep for my next show, I was teaching only 1 class a day for my last show, so I need to go back to teaching 1 class a day again for my next show. But I'm looking into other ways of making like a side income or whatever, like so I won't have to teach all day again.
Yeah, why not just do like YouTube channel? I remember
Yeah.
we talked about that
Yeah,
before.
Yeah,
Like,
I definitely no. It's funny you say that because like I don't know how this is going to sound. I decided last week, a few days ago, that I want to. You know what? I've got the potential, and I definitely think that I've got a personality that people would like to like watch and listen to, and I've got lots of stuff I want to share and lots of stuff I can react to because people tell me they love watching me react to stuff because I am like the way that like my face goes when I like something or when I don't like something or whatever. They said it's hilarious. So I said, you know what? I think I could be a really big, huge, like I don't like using the word influencer because
I love the word influencer.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't like using it, but it's the only word that I can use. I think I could become a really big like.
I think you can.
I think that's the word I should be using, influencer. But I want because a lot of people have that negative.
You want to be a thought leader.
Yes.
I think that's a better
I guess
way
it's
of
better,
putting
yeah.
You want to be a thought leader.
Yeah,
you have the chops for it, I would say.
Yeah, I definitely think I can do that. And to be honest, like you were asking me before if I thought about like what I'd like to do. I'm like, honestly, I'd like to do everything because I think I could. I mean, why not try everything and see which ones work best for me? You know, and like, I think I could do everything anyway. Yeah, honestly, like bodybuilding, gym, food. I've even like I put up a video the other day of just in Gastown, and I mean, I hadn't put a reel up in a long time or anything like that, and I just thought it got something like 3,500 views, and I thought for a start, that's really good. I didn't expect it to even get 1,000. I was like, maybe it'd get a few hundred, but I got 3,500. I said, okay, that's actually way higher than I expected. So I said, okay, then that means I have the potential to reach even higher. I've got another idea for a very funny video that I'm going to put up, I think, either tonight or sometime tomorrow or the next day. I've got some food content I have to post about a cafe. There's a cafe in Vancouver called Wicked Cafe I visited weeks ago and I haven't posted yet and I feel so terrible, but like, you know, when you're sometimes I've all the posts made, but you know when you want to make the content perfect, you know, you're just like, it takes so much longer than you expect. That people don't realize how much effort actually goes into the content. They just watch it for like 5 seconds, but we're making it for like 5 hours, you know, so yeah.
I think it's a good segue to dive into this. Foodie.
Yeah.
When I first met you, it was at a foodie event.
Yeah, you met me June, yeah.
Yeah, this was like, was it Craft? It was Craft, right? This was with like all the influencers.
Yeah, and I never go to those events. I never go to big influencer events. I like to, it's actually rare to find me at them. But I was talking to another foodie influencer and I said, let's meet up sometime. And she invited
Angel?
me. No, it was actually Chani. She was there with Angel. Yeah, so she invited me along and because I wanted to meet her finally because we'd been Instagram like friends for for 4 years or something or 5 years and we'd never properly met. So yeah. So, and I never go to those events. I just, purely because I like to just do my own thing. I like to be alone. Or I might go with the odd. I've got a couple of like foodie friends that I talk to often and see often. So, yeah. So, yeah, that was at that event. Yeah, that time. Yeah.
How did you get into foodie then?
Weird how it happened. On my Instagram, I started noticing, especially when I came here, that the more I posted about food, the more interaction I was getting from people, and it happened kind of as a hobby by accident, and especially during the pandemic because I was I was ordering food from lots of places during the pandemic and I was just posting about all of them because like I was doing nothing else because I was teaching from home and I was in my apartment on my own because I at the time lived in a studio. Then I moved in with my best friend and now he's gone back to Korea, but I live downtown in this like 22nd floor, which is beautiful. But I was posting every day just about different food, and the more I posted, the more it was weird. Like I think it might have been just because everyone was at home. My follower number just went up so fast, and I was just going, I don't know what's going on, but people are really liking my content, And I realized one of the things, I think the biggest thing, is how detailed my posts are. And it's the words that I use. Like
The copywriting under
yeah,
the text.
it's not just a quick thing of like, hey, I went here, this is what I tried, go try it. No, it's this big long text of exactly what I thought of everything. And my wording, like I don't even think, I just go type and I just post, and people are just like, I love reading. I look at your post quotas quickly, but I love reading your stuff. And so many people said after I might start reading, I said, oh, it's so long, I'll read it for a second, and they end up reading the whole thing. Then they'll go to the next post and read the whole thing, and then people say, from reading all your stuff, I've been to so many cafes just because of the way you describe stuff. And so that's where it happened. And then I started getting invited by restaurants to come try their stuff and post about it. And I was like, I was only doing this for a hobby. And it became this thing where people started recognizing me as, you're AJ, you're that foodie guy, you know, and it was so much fun. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how it happened, like the long and short of it. Yeah.
Have you ever considered entering into marketing? As much as I hate to say it, social media marketing.
Yeah, I would definitely, but I would be very, very careful, purely because of a bad experience I had 2 years ago. This time 2 years ago in social media marketing.
Would you be able to dive into that a little bit?
Yeah,
That's okay.
I will tell you that I was contacted by somebody who
Influencer or agency?
Agency. Who ran an agency. I'm being very careful what I say
Yeah,
here.
that's fair.
Ran an agency, promised me the world, and looking back, you know, when they say it's too good, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. But this particular guy was very good at what he did. Like, he was a charmer, and he was definitely a shark. Promised me that I was going to be this huge. He had contacts with people all over the world. Blah,
He
blah.
said he contacted, or he...
Huh?
Like, he allegedly said he's contacting all these people?
Oh, no, he said he had contacts.
Oh, had contacts
He had contacts from all the world. And he said that, you know, he could have me doing content for loads of places worldwide, starting off in Canada and all that. And honestly, like, I met him many, many, many times and spoke about this.
So it's not one time.
So it wasn't just once. And I wanted to get a good feel for this. And honestly, with what he was telling me, it sounded like, okay, so I'm going to give this a try and see. So I actually left my teaching job at the time. Yeah, that's one thing I didn't really want to mention that, but I came back after, I was back teaching after a month. They took me straight back on when I contacted them and said, this is not what I thought it was going to be, can I come back? So they promised me that I was going to become this, contacts all over the world. Like, there's people in Vancouver who are like, they might get invited to other countries to try food and all that or whatever. And I thought, okay, well, if I have this opportunity, why not see how it works? What actually happened was I was put behind a desk and was not really trained in on anything and was not really told anything. All I was told was, you're going to be taking care of these companies that we run influencing campaigns for. What they wanted me to do was for me to get my knowledge of all the influencers in Vancouver, meaning I knew all of them, all the food influencers. Mm-hmm. What they actually wanted me to do was to contact all of them and set up influencer campaigns. So instead of he promised
so
me
you
this,
became their in-house marketer, and so because they hired you because of your reach, and they're like, hey, we know you know these people, get them to do these campaigns
pretty much,
for us.
Yeah, and it was totally not what I was told. Nothing at all. So I basically just quit and blocked everybody, the whole lot of them, so they couldn't contact me again, and went back to the school. The school were thrilled to have me back, and when I went back to the school, I was so happy, and I said, I never ever want to leave teaching again. At the time, anyway. Mm-hmm. It's like, I mean, maybe in the future I might take a break from teaching and try something. In terms of, when I say take a break, I mean maybe I'll be in bodybuilding for a year, whatever. But to be honest, like, or whatever, or social media marketing, if it were to go that way. But to be honest, I'm happy teaching, and I mean, I will always be teaching for a long time. I love it so much. What are you laughing at?
The reason why I'm laughing is because my business partner, he has multiple businesses in Vancouver.
Right.
He has a restaurant that's just launching. We'll call it Asian Cactus Club, because that's basically what it's going to be. He's got a hot pot restaurant.
Right.
But not only that, though, he's going to be launching a gym next year.
Oh yeah,
Specifically, though,
bodybuilding.
catered towards bodybuilding.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
why I like mentioned you. I was
Yeah.
like, wait a second. You'd be kind of the guy to be like
Yeah.
a great brand ambassador because number
Right.
one, you're a foodie.
Yeah.
And number two, you're also
Yeah.
a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So I was going like, just
Yeah.
stuff noodling in my head. And he wants to
Yeah.
build out his marketing team.
Okay, right.
So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be say it's a similar role
Yeah.
because we wouldn't be asking you to tell other people
Yeah.
to do a thing, but I think there could be a potentially
Yeah.
really good partnership. Is what
I'd
I'm
be
saying.
thrilled to be part of that because actually I was a brand ambassador for two particular food-related places in Vancouver. Yet again, first one promised me the world yet again, and they said they're going to have me do certain things.
It really feels like they're just trying to take advantage.
Yeah,
of
they
the
were.
following.
Oh, they were absolutely were.
Like all of this just sounds like they want to take advantage of the results you already got.
They were, but you know what? Since then, I've known what to be aware of. I'm very, very like conscious of things now, aware of things. I'm a very different person now than I was even a few years ago, and not even resonate with the person I was when I lost weight at the beginning. That's why I'm called AJ. Because my legal name is like the A stands for Anthony and the J is Junior because my father's also Anthony. So the only people that call me Anthony are my family. Everybody else calls me AJ because my personality, I am AJ. But back then when I became the brand ambassador for the first place, like they were telling me things like we're going to have events here and we're going to actually be setting these things and we're going to have you market certain things and if you're going to get a cut from this and all that, and they said they were going to put me under a contract and pay me for stuff. So when I brought up the contract eventually and mentioned the whole thing of getting paid for being a brand ambassador, I never heard from them again. So I just dropped it completely. Yeah. And actually what's interesting is that it kind of happened without either of us contacting each other. I never told them I stopped. They never contacted me. They told me anytime we've got new products, we're going to have you in first, but then that stopped happening. They stopped working with me. The other place, I was their brand ambassador for years. And then towards the end of last year, I realized, I've been a brand ambassador for this place for 4 years or 3 years. Or what was it, 3 years or 3.5 years? And not once have I been financially compensated for all the customers I got for them.
Wait,
Yeah,
not once?
Not once, yeah.
Wait, but did they compensate you at all?
They compensated me by giving me, like, they fill
Don't
up...
tell me they gave you free stuff.
Free stuff.
That was
yeah,
it?
That was it.
What the hell?
Not only that, but if they gave me a particular card, and it was a coffee shop in Vancouver, who sell things like cheesecakes and stuff, and they said, we'll fill up your card, and if it's ever empty, we just ask us and we'll refill it. If I ever went into their particular cafe and I said either I forgot my card or my card is empty, they wouldn't give me anything. So even though I was their brand ambassador, the staff still wouldn't give me stuff. And it's just that like the number of customers I got for them, I'm serious, like I got a lot, because like especially in my school, like I told all my students to go there, use my discounts, whatever. So they made a lot of money through me, and then never in that time I just thought, you know what, with all the effort that I've put in here and taking my own time, like sometimes they'd ask me to go to, like I wouldn't do this now, but sometimes they asked me to go to like certain locations, but
for what reason?
But, yeah, just to help do promotional photo shoots there.
Oh, like show up at their location.
But like I look back and just go, they wouldn't even like help take care of my transport costs to go there. So I look back and I just go, you know what? That's really unfair. I was doing a lot out of my own will and old free time, and I go, there's no way I'd let that happen now. So
that is
And
terrible.
this is a very well known cafe
who
in
we
Vancouver.
shall not name.
Yeah, we will not name. But anybody who's watching who knows me they know who it is, because I was their ambassador for almost 3 years. So everyone who's watching knows. They know who it is. I'm just not going to say.
Links in his social media down below later.
Yeah.
But that's crazy, because in my mind, that sounds like because
it's totally using me.
It's totally using you. What the heck? Like, just the way you told me, I was like, oh, dude, they're definitely using you.
That's why places, like, I'm very careful with who I work with now. Very careful. Very. And I do mean very. Yeah. Like, yeah. And that includes personal relationships as well. Like, as I said, I was the very, very naive guy years ago, and like I thought everyone was my friend. Now that's opposite. It's very different now. The whole thing of you see that thing, I can't resonate with this well enough. This thing that says, I used to walk into a room full of people and wonder if they liked me. Now I walk into a room full of people and wonder if I like them. Mm-hmm. And it's so true.
Yeah. It is. I was just like you.
Yeah.
I was so naive growing up. I was the kind of person who would protect the people getting bullied as a kid.
Yeah,
And then I
yeah.
got blasted.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
bullied out of my
Yeah.
mind. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what the heck?
The bullying, because I got bullied so badly for so many years. That's why I was so naive, because I honestly didn't have any friends in school. I remember birthdays, which is obviously with your family, which is great, but no birthdays with your friends, and
Yeah,
that's
no one showed up.
sad. So I kind of had to do my growing up of teenage years when I got into like college, like I said, because I didn't really have, you resonate with this, I didn't really have proper teenage years.
We were the loners, basically.
And
or
to
we
be
would
honest,
have to hang out with people who were kind of sort of younger than
yeah,
us.
yeah, interestingly, actually, you're right. It's true, but I did make some really good friends at the time, and I actually found, that I loved becoming friends with people who were older than me, because I loved the things you'd talk about. I loved the maturity. I loved the things that they knew that I didn't know, the life experience. Because when I teach now, especially teaching my teenagers now, I've right, because my afternoon class is a group of people who are about kids between like 15 and 18, and when they're like, when I'm giving them life advice, I love the way they just sit and look at me in awe. They love getting the life advice from me. Like I love helping my teens with like personal things, personal questions about stuff, like, because all of my brothers and sisters all have kids, and I've got 5 siblings, and they all have kids, and I love all of them to bits, but I don't want to have kids. I'm the fun uncle, and I would always be, I want to be the uncle that, and so I'm like that with my teenager class as well. I'm like, it's like being, even though I'm obviously their teacher and I teach all the stuff, but sometimes we do talk about personal stuff. I'll ask them about what happens in their life and all that, and I love having that personal relationship with them, of being like, going from teacher to kind of giving them the life advice as an uncle-ish figure, which is fun. Yeah.
No, that's amazing.
But yeah, I resonate with what you just said. Yeah, like kind of like having to, being the loner, not having any friends and all that. But it's kind of one of the reasons why I decided to start getting into the gym. One of the reasons, I don't know, a lot of people who got bullied, who are into the gym, did get bullied when they were younger, and I kind of understand that now. It's like, I wouldn't exactly say exactly why, but I can understand that feeling of like, yeah, it's like a protective armor in a way, And I go to the gym, as much as I go to the gym for how I want to look, I also mainly go to the gym for mental health. It's like therapy, I mean, it doesn't, even if when I say it's like therapy, it's like, it's just, if you're having a rough day, back years ago I would have eaten food. Now I go to the gym if I'm having a rough day, or go do cardio. Yeah, and it makes you feel so much better. Yeah.
It is. It really is just like the physical activity.
Yeah.
It gets the chemicals going in your head. It
Yeah.
really does help. Even like the small stuff, walking on a treadmill.
Yeah, absolutely. There's exercises and working out is only ever good for you. It's never ever bad for you, unless you become, there is a downside to it. You can become too addicted to it, and there are people out there.
Your life revolves around it.
In a way that's not healthy. It can become unhealthy, because it's the healthiest addiction you can have, but you have to be so careful to make sure that you don't become overly obsessed with it too much, because there are people who end up with eating disorders, like, because they're too focused on the food that they eat too much, So, yeah. So people at the same, like, it's great to make changes, but you have to obviously be careful with like anything. Yeah.
In moderation.
Yeah.
It really is moderation.
Yeah.
A good thing in too much is still bad.
It is, absolutely. Like, I mean, as much as it is great to go to the gym, you can go to the gym too much. Like, there was one, like, it's actually difficult to not go to the gym. Like, Sundays are my rest day. I have to make sure I don't go on Sundays at all. And sometimes you'll be like, will I go even if I just do half an hour? I'm like, no. Because then the next day I wake up and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't go, because I'm full of energy today. Yeah. So, yeah. So.
No, it can be quite a bit. Because the funny thing is, with foodie, I was actually more shocked that people didn't sound like they wanted to pay for you. Here's the thing, I know a lot of foodies like Howie and all those people, like a lot of, there's only a few select people I would say who actually get paid, because their reach is so big, but more often than not, foodies, you don't get paid. They're just like free food, and it's just like,
and actually, to be honest, that's kind of like, I mean, that's kind of just the way it goes. Like, I mean, it's only if you're like, there are some people who do it full time, and their reach, for them, it's almost like a marketing job. And like, because some places rely on certain foodies and all that solely for, like, almost solely for their own marketing, whatever. Maybe, I don't know, but because there are certain people that, you might get one particular person to advertise this for you on their Instagram, and then all of a sudden you've got a line of people coming to try this product in your store. So of course I mean, naturally, it's only fair that that person gets paid for the marketing they did to get you products. But generally, lots of people just their thing is like, and it's the same for me, that it was just, you get food in exchange for doing a post. It's more of just like, because for a lot of people like us, it's just a hobby really, and my way was just to showcase my love for food and my passion for it, but it just turned into something I didn't expect. So, and now I combine that with bodybuilding, but I don't do much food content these days because I'm focused on the gym.
That's fair. That's a shame, because I was like, in my mind, if I was hypothetically to bring you on as a team, like I would like pay for your bodybuilding, as in like the trip to do your body competition, so we would like support you that way. Because that can get not expensive, but it's still nice.
It
to, like,
is
pay.
No. It is. It's
really.
It is expensive. Absolutely. Like, I mean, well, you have to think of everything. You think about all the protein you have to buy. Like you have to make sure you have to get a lot of food in. Now, of course, that's your lifestyle or whatever. But you think about all the other stuff. Like I had to take a polygraph test to make sure I was natural, and that's mandatory. If I don't do that, I can't take part. That's $100, that's one thing. But then there's loads of other stuff, like there's the spray tan. I had to get 4 coats of spray tan. Now, I am a member of a tanning salon, because you have to go for weeks before you go onto a tanning bed to build up a base tan, and then you get spray tans.
So it's not like you just whip on the tan.
You can, but it's just,
doesn't look
it's
as good.
It's best to get a base tan. And then there's loads of other stuff, like, paying for the competition itself. Like, you have to pay for every category you wanted to enter. I wanted to enter 3 categories.
How much is it per category?
I can't remember.
100, 200, 300?
About that. Yeah, around one of them. Not 300, no. I think it was like, because you have to buy membership as well for the year. No matter where you take part, you're going to buy a year membership.
That's like, what, 200?
For the year, I think it's about 100 or 200. I think maybe 300. I think, but then on top of that, you have to pay for the category you have to pay to enter the competition. Then you have to pay for extra categories. So if you want to enter 3 categories, you have to pay for each of them, which is like an extra $50. And then on top of that, you have to hire a coach. And that I mean, I love my coach. I love what he's done for me so much, and I'm happy to be paying him for what he does. But on top of all of that, like, you've got the stuff maybe I haven't thought about, like, you've got your posing trunks as well. Now, I was very lucky to have been left a pair with my best friend. He never used them, but they can be so expensive.
Wait. The posing trunks.
The posing trunks, yeah. Oh my god, like the board shorts, the posing trunks, like hundreds of dollars, just for a pair of like tiny pants that I was wearing.
Like customized $100, or talking about like just a basic,
like we're talking way more. Sometimes they can cost $400, $500. Like the bikini athletes, they pay for a 2-part, obviously. So theirs costs way
2X?
more. Yeah. And then it's like, there's probably other stuff they have forgotten about, but competing costs a lot of money. It does, yeah.
That's true. When I did ballroom dancing, basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Tail suit, 1.5K.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a lot of, so that's the thing, is that if you're going to compete, you have to remember that there is going to be a bit of a financial strain. As long as you're aware of that and are ready for that, that's fine. Which kind of, the only thing about me was that I could only, if I were teaching 2 classes a day, it would obviously help financially to pay for the competition, but I was only teaching 1 class a day because I had to fit in the gym in the afternoons. So I might do tutoring as well, but tutoring's so inconsistent.
It's super inconsistent.
I was doing it before the pandemic, and I was like teaching all day from actually 8:15 just to 5 p.m. And some evenings then I'd be teaching until 9, I'd be tutoring until 9 p.m. sometimes 4 nights a week. So that was then also paid privately. So that market is gone since the pandemic, especially because of online lessons and because of the difference in PR now. Something got to do with this to the point, I don't know, but yeah. So I'm looking into maybe other options of maybe making some income.
Realistically bring you on part time to take care of social media marketing, part time, because then you can still do what you love.
Yeah.
And then you would have some time to still be able to post content. And the best thing is you can post content at the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, you'd be just posting, but you'd just be quote unquote brand ambassador. But we would pay you. We wouldn't just be post this. It wouldn't be do this for free. Like
Yeah.
you'd be like actually like
Yeah.
part-time in-house salary or
Right.
something.
Okay, nice,
We
yeah.
can discuss about this more
Yeah,
later.
exactly,
But
yeah.
it's something that I'd love to be able to help you with.
course.
Because here's the thing, like I know exactly what you're going through. Like even for me, you took the bodybuilding route, but also teaching route. I went streaming. I played video games.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I really want to play video
Yeah.
games, and my parents are Asian,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, you can
Yeah,
see
I
why
know,
that's
yeah.
you can see why that's a problem,
Yeah.
right? And I like dropped out of school, and long story short, pursued it, got some results, and they're like, oh yeah, great.
Right.
But you know, it's a struggle.
It is, yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
I can totally relate with where you're coming from. But it's interesting though, when we talked about social media last before, when I was like, you know, with you,
Yeah.
you wanted to dive into it. Is there anything in particular? Because you say you wanted to teach people, but there's so much you could teach. Do you want to do like thought leader content, working out? There's so much you could do.
There's nothing like. I just want to be able to help people with anything really. Like to be honest, as much as I love doing like teaching, I've realized that because I teach for a living, and because I do it like it's my Monday to Friday. I love it so much. I've realized I tried doing it on Instagram or whatever. I tried making videos, but I realized I didn't get excited about making those videos. I think it's because it's my normal career as well. As much as I love teaching, I think I want to leave that for the classroom rather than making content about teaching. I think that because I'm not... I even sat down one day and made a list of videos I could make for a whole month, and I got to like the third video and I stopped making the videos.
That kind of video, was it teaching people how to teach or teaching
No,
students?
it was telling people like for example, like, do this in the IELTS test, or this is what, you know, all that stuff. So like it's just that I think it's because I was like, this is a good way to build up more private tutoring students, but
it doesn't
I said,
really,
I'm not really enjoying
that's not your
this.
brand.
It's not my brand. No, I'm a teacher, but I love being in the classroom, but I want to be known. When I say known, I want to be like doing content for stuff that's not teaching, like bodybuilding, like food, like when I say like, I want to like do the positive aspect of life coaching, whatever, helping people. You know, honestly, I love helping people, but not being taken advantage of, you know, like I love helping people in terms of like just making their lives better. If that means making a difference to like to be honest, like this is going to sound weird. This is going down a really weird route, but I've met a lot of people in my life. I've met people in my life who I thought were going to be friends for life.
Yeah, me too.
Who you know, this thing where it says like on Instagram, I look at a lot of positive content on
Is
Instagram.
it something up for a season,
it's
for a reason?
Yeah.
That one?
No, it's that's very funny. No, it says something like, it's crazy to think that somebody who was a stranger just, let's say, 3 months ago now feels like a best friend, but it's or like a year ago. Somebody who was a stranger a year ago is now a person who you never want to, who's like a best friend. But somebody who was a best friend like 2 months ago is now a stranger. And trust me when I say that I've been through that. I've been to hell and back with that. People who I really thought
ride and die
were going to be friends for life. Even people who I've been friends with, I thought were friends with for a long time. Just, you realize that there's betrayal in there. It just takes one thing and you realize, again, you know, it's like, okay. Like, at this point, it's like, okay, what do you expect? Here we go. Here we are again with that. It's really weird though, because my expectations of people in general are very low now. Like when I say low, I mean like in terms of my expectations with my friends, I don't have expectations. And just like my friends, my closest friends now, it's just very give and take. My friends are there for me, I'm there for them. It's just the way it is. My closest friends who definitely are watching this know who I'm talking about, and they are just like, yeah, that's me, and he'll be there for me and I'll be there for him. And but it's about like when I talk about expectations, it's like when I get I want to say disappointed, because when you get let down by a person or betrayed by a person who you thought was going to be a friend for a long time, at this point, it's not surprising, because it's just like, well, people in general, this is the way a lot of people are. You know, you can't trust people. Not even if people could change. It's more of maybe this is the way they always were, or maybe maybe it took some time. Maybe it just took one thing for you to realize this is the case. So I'm at the point now where I'm very careful with who I let into my life. Very, very careful. There was a reason I was saying that though, and I forgot what it is. I was like, I'm going down this particular path, but I forgot the reason I was saying that. There was a reason. Yeah, okay, keep going.
Yeah, fantastic.
This is, again, I'm totally new to this, so don't mind me.
No, not at all, not at all. This is great. Like, this is the type of stuff that really, like, at the end of the day, like you said, it's really tough for you to be able to, like, really let people in.
Yeah.
And
it is.
Yeah, it's true.
At this stage, it is. Yeah.
It really is, because when you let people in and they disappoint you and they hurt you, it's really devastating.
It is.
And especially when, like you said, when you're growing up, you take things very emotionally. You probably still have that in you.
Yes, definitely. Whereas now it's kind of like, it is difficult, but it is at the same time, also, I don't get upset by it really that much anymore, because you're just like, oh, again? Oh, well, here we go. Here we are.
Yeah, because you want to let people in.
Yeah, exactly. But in saying that, though, I have such an amazing group of friends all over the world, especially, but here at the moment, my current, like when I say current circle of friends, like I'm going to call them all out. No, my friends in Vancouver, like I hosted a barbecue beach day yesterday, and there was like 21 of us there, and we had so much fun, and we played games, we had so much food, like, yeah, so it was so much fun. Yeah, and I organize stuff like that all the time, because when my best friend moved back to Korea in 2022, I was heartbroken, because he was the best friend I could ever have had, ever. And we were only friends really for like a year and a half, and he left. And he took his dog with him as well, which is horrible. But his sister went as well, so it was really hard. I went to visit him last year, but and I am going again this year. I'm excited to go in October to Korea. It's the best place I've ever been to, ever. But after he left, I realized I didn't really have many friends in Vancouver, because he and I were we did everything together. So we were like, like best friends. Like, he was the closest friend I've ever had, and we did everything together. So I realized, okay, I need to make some new friends. So I went on to Reddit, and I went on to something called Vancouver for Friends, and started hosting meetups through that. But I would make sure that I would get people to message me first, because people would like maybe post, we're going for drinks here on this day at this time, you can join. And I think a lot of people on the thread or the sub were used to that. I don't think a lot of people liked the fact that I was telling people to message me, because it looked like I was gatekeeping. And I got a comment recently on a recent one going,
really?
We really shouldn't be gatekeeping. And I said, the reason why I'm asking people to message me is, first of all, I need to make reservations for places. I can't just say, hey, we're going to be here at this time.
And show with 20, 30
people. What if like 50, 60 people turn up, and I haven't, like, I need like a whole cafe for that. Second of all, you really don't know who's online. You don't know.
You don't.
I mean, I know it sounds like gatekeeping. It's more of just like, we're protecting people, protecting the community, protecting, well, myself, and also making sure that I have to make sure I have to cap it at like 15, 20 people, and I have to make sure that because I want to talk to everybody, because I'm hosting it. So I got attacked for that sometimes. And it's crazy. I put a comment one day and I said, if you want to join, message me. And I got downvoted for that on Reddit. And I'm just like, why? Because people don't want to have to go out of their way to message me to say that they want to join and make friends. But I did have people messaging me, and I was doing meetups consistently every single Saturday for many, many months.
And you would do that?
Yeah, and I still do it now. But not as much, because I've made a circle of friends, not just through the Reddit community, but also through people who I knew before we came to Vancouver.
Prior circle.
Yes. Also current and former students, also colleagues of mine, fellow teachers, and I've made a great circle through that. But doing it through the Reddit community was great, because I made some really, really, really close friends, like unbelievably great people. But I had to make sure that they messaged me first, and I would say, tell me about yourself first, and they would always tell me about themselves. Anybody who would say that they're going to join and they would cancel last minute, fine, the first time. But if they're doing it again, second, third time, then I just stop messaging them. But most people are very, very consistent, and they're amazing people. Like, we've had mostly 99% really cool people. We've had an odd 1% of people who were just like, I don't know if I want them in my friendship circle, to be honest. Yeah, but generally it's been great. Like, and it's great to say I met these people through Reddit, through the Reddit community. It's so nice to know that there are really good people on Reddit. Like, obviously there are a lot of crazy people online, but that's what I was doing to make sure that everybody was safe, and that I had the right people to join. And yeah, so
AJ, what are you doing? Your talent is immense. Do you even realize like what you're telling me is essentially a 6-7 figure income a year type of situation if you knew what the heck you were doing?
For me, all I'm doing is trying to make new friends in doing that. That kind of thing is it was just my way of making new friends, and for people who didn't have any friends here, or to meet new people, to make new friends. That's all it was. That's all it ever was. That and the foodie thing is only ever a hobby thing. You know, all of this is all to benefit myself in a way that makes me enjoy life and meet new people, and that's all it's ever been. I've never had a hidden agenda with any of this stuff.
Which is phenomenal. And I'm not saying you should have it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the skill set that you have developed is literally you're building a community, you're building a following, you're building trust.
Yeah.
You're building brand.
Yeah.
You do realize that this is all the stuff you're actually doing, and you just kind of like tweak it a little bit here and here and here and here. It'd be like, people would pay money for certain things that you are offering. I'm not saying that you should.
I honestly, what you're saying sounds great, but I'm just like going, I'm like, I can't even begin to think how I could. Like, what am I doing that people would pay for?
Sure. After the show,
I can't even see that.
I'll tweak that a little bit for you.
Okay,
We'll dive into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, number one, you have a great heart, you have a great story, and you've been hurt a lot, so have I. But through that, you've learned a lot. Your story can help a lot of people, because there's a lot of young people, for lack of bad words, kind of dumb. No offense. But people would need, a mentor figure, like you said, the older uncle.
I wouldn't say dumb. I would say maybe don't have as much life experience.
Sure.
That's a better way of saying it, I think. Yeah.
Sure, let's put it nicer. Less life experience, but you'd be someone who'd be able to step into their life, either be it personally or be it through your content online. And you'd be able to show people how to get out of there. That's what I'm trying to wrap around. You have such an amazing story. You have the skill set. You have a genuine heart. You could help a lot of people. I'm being very serious. You can. Yeah. It feels like the lack of barriers. Maybe you just need to get a camera and get a mic. And
one thing I did say earlier was just that I really, really, really want to help people. As a teacher, I am. My job is to help them succeed. As a teacher, that's what I do. It's but I really do want to help people. I really do want to help honestly, the community of people who are two things. One is people who want to change their diets and get into better shape, or not even that, is changing their relationship with food, even helping people with eating disorders or whatever. I just love to help people. The other one is I'd love to just help people do better in their life. I mean, as much as there's a very toxic side to the whole life coach thing. I really wish there was another name for that. But
explain a little bit about the toxic side of life coach. Are you talking about the predatory side?
I would put it this way. I will say this. One of the people I got out was a life coach. He was one of the most toxic people I've ever met. Yeah. So that's the thing.
Did you pay for him?
No. What I thought was going to be a friend for life. Turns out that this particular person was they used. Put it this way. When I would introduce them to, I have to be so careful what I'm saying, because I think people might know who I'm talking about, but not people here, people back, people, I'm not going to say.
Then I'll reframe it for you. So you're talking about toxicity and life coaches. Obviously, that industry can be very predatory. People taking advantage of each other, trying to save face, trying to pretend to be someone else. But obviously, it's like a funeral.
That's the toxic side is very, can you really trust them? Because a life coach's job, essentially, is to train you to think differently so that you have a better life. But that, I think, going by experience of going by what I'm aware of with certain life coaches, is that means that they can easily manipulate, and that's very toxic. If they might manipulate people into thinking that it's a great thing when actually they're just trying to scam them out of money. And that's one of the toxic sides.
So when you see this $5,000 course retreat, that type of thing could change your life, step on fire type of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Whereas I think I can genuinely help people. Because based on my own life experience and what I've been through, I can help them in many different ways. Making friends, changing their eating habits, bodybuilding, taking risks. I took a risk moving to Vancouver. I moved to Prague within 4 weeks I dropped everything and moved. I can help you with a lot of different things, but I wouldn't even know where to get started.
So let's just hypothetically say everything you're listing, that you're telling you could help people change their life, and let's just say you charge $5,000 a year for that.
Right.
Would you be against that? Does that go oh God, I can't do that?
No, I'm a can-do person. Absolutely, I can do that.
Okay, so if you were hey, you're going to pay $5,000 a year, this is what I'll do for you, you're not opposed to going oh, this is the toxic side, I don't want to do this. You'd be okay
because
with
you know
that.
what? Because as long as I can prove to them that they are not wasting their money, because I can actually help them.
Let's play this out a little bit. How would you be able to help? What's the social proof? Obviously, you have your story with the gym. You have the story with you losing weight. Like how would you be?
Using my story as proof, like using what I've been through as proof. Somehow getting across. Whatever you've been through, I've been through a lot of either something similar or the same, and based on what I've been through and how my life is now, I've been through a lot that I can definitely help you overcome what you're going through. Yeah, I think that's the best way. Somehow getting that across.
I can definitely help you with that. That's not hard. As long as you have someone who can figure that out, love to be able to help you out. I know we've kind of talked about a lot of topics, but I kind of want to wrap this up with two questions.
Okay.
Number one, is there anything throughout this interview that you wish I would have asked you? Sometimes there are questions that I might forget, or there are topics that you wish I could have segued into. Was there anything that I missed that I should have probably asked?
I don't think so. No, we kind of touched on everything everything in my life, really. I went through everything, like the bodybuilding, the gym, bullying, the competition, teaching, and also probably one thing that people might be interested in is, because one thing I'm a big advocate for is, like, when I talk about happiness and I'm talking about when you say about asking me certain questions, like one thing that you didn't touch on was the relationship side of my life, but that's because one thing you didn't touch on was that, which people might find interesting, is that I'm a very big advocate of doing things solo. So I'm very, very happy living life solo and doing things for myself. Lots of people say, like, I'm a very, very big advocate for it, because so many people...
As in being single, as in not being in a relationship is what you mean.
But there's a difference between being single and living life solo. Being single is being available. Living life solo is you are by yourself and you're very happy by yourself. But if you're single, you are available. You're open to a relationship. I'm not necessarily close to one. It's not a priority, and I would be very happy if I didn't have a relationship. I don't want to get married and have kids. I'm very, very happy for anybody who does. My whole family have, and I love all of those kids, all of my nieces and nephews. I love them to bits. I'm so happy for all of my family and my friends who have kids, but I'm very happy living life for myself, by myself. And I'm a big advocate for it, because I've known people who say things like, when I get into a relationship, I'll be happy. When I get kids, I'll be happy. I'm like, no. I said, if you're not happy now, what makes you think you're going to be happy in a relationship? And these kind of people are the people who will just get into a relationship with anybody for the sake of it,
Zero disregard. I completely get it.
I'm very happy living life solo. And some people don't understand that.
I completely understand it.
They say things like, but who are you sharing your life with? I'm like, myself.
Exactly. Why does it matter?
Sometimes I get asked, do you have a girlfriend? I'm just like, no, I don't have a girlfriend, but I'm married. I was like, oh, you've got a wife? I'm like, no, I'm married.
To myself.
And that's my answer. I'm married to myself. Yeah.
Legally, I'm still single, though.
Yeah. Single, yes, legally. But I'm very, very happy living life by myself. And if that's the way it is forever, I'll be very happy with that, because you can probably tell I'm a very happy person.
I can definitely tell. And I think it's a great mindset, because I also have that same mindset where it shouldn't be this person makes you happy. Like, being together with someone shouldn't make you happier. Yeah. You should be someone who's already happy, and they add on top of your happiness.
Exactly.
And if they leave you, it's not you become depressed. It's if they leave you, you are not as high as you are here, but you're still happy.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how I think most people need to look at relationships.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who's in relationships and has kids, it's great, because for most people, that's what they want. And, anybody who has kids, and when they tell me that they're having a kid, it's great. But that's just not for me. And I made that decision a long time ago. And people say, I get it all the time. You never know. I'm like, no, trust me, I do know. And I'm biologically I'm getting into my late 30s. I say biologically because I'm not biologically 38, up 37 up here. But so at this point, if I'm not, I have decided I definitely don't want to have kids, and that's not going to change. And everyone knows that. My family particularly know well. Like they there's no problem with that. Yeah.
No, my girlfriend's the same. Yeah. She doesn't mind getting married, does not want to have kids.
Yeah.
Which is...
I don't want either.
Exactly. And she's like, she hates kids, doesn't like them, they're completely messy. And she's like, if we ever did have kids with that weird 1% maybe life change, she's like, you John would be the sole parent raising this kid. So she told me, which is
Right.
fair enough, flat
Yeah.
out. And I'm 50-50. I could have kids. I could not have kids.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
If I'm ever going to do anything, it'll just be getting a dog. Like, but that would be way. Even people say about kids, I'm going to be way in the future. I'm like, I don't even have time. Like, I barely even have time for myself.
Yeah.
And I look at how I live my life. I'm like, how would I fit in? Let alone kids, but how would I fit a relationship into how my lifestyle is right now? There's no way, because you have to make time. I barely have time for myself. So, yeah. And it's not a priority at all. So I'm very happy.
No.
But apart from that, there's nothing else that I don't think... You touch on everything else, yeah.
No, I'm glad we touched about
Yeah.
that, because a lot of people, I would say, definitely feel the need to feel happy and feel like getting in a relationship with solve
Yeah.
that. Letting you know right now, that's a you problem. That's not a them problem. Fix this first. Okay?
It's true.
It
Yeah.
really is fixing this. So
Yeah.
whatever it may be, therapy, AJ maybe, whatever it may be, but definitely talking to someone will definitely help. And then I want to wrap it up with one final thing. For all your audience, your future audience, and all the students around the world, do you have a message that you want to be able to share with them? One last thought.
Yeah, if I'm going to say anything based on everything I've said today, would be, if you're going to make any changes to anything, and that includes for those who are like wanting to learn a language, you start small, and you start small, think big, but expect small. You know, you have to make sure that you be realistic and have a can-do attitude, and as selfish as it might sound, always put yourself first and put your happiness first, because at the end of the day, the only person that's going to look after you really is you. And if you put yourself first and look after yourself, then everything else will fall into place, and that's it.
Perfect. Well, I wanted to say once again, thank you, AJ, for being on my show. I'll have all his social media handle, well, technically just one probably, down in the description down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to AJ or reach out to me. And once again, thank you so much for being part of the show, AJ.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.